Hi all, welcome to the Strategic Pulse. I'm your host Sudarshan Praveen, and I'm very excited to shoot our first episode with an incredible guest, Mr. Shridhar Narayan. He is the CEO of the Hiranandani Group's Real Estate, Infrastructure and Logistics Division, and he also has his own venture capital firm called Pegasus FinInvest. He is a very senior person in terms of experience. He has led transformative projects and built strategic partnerships, including with those of Brookfield and Blackstone. Today, he is here to share with us his journey, some valuable insights, which I'm sure will inspire all of us. Hope you'll enjoy the episode. Thank you. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sudarshan.
So, how did your journey to becoming the CEO of the Hiranandani Group begin?
Well, CEO of Hiranandani Group is now. We're talking about the journey. I had to go back to my memory lane. But I think my journey was, I think, from the age of 15, I was a self motivated guy because during the vacation, I think post my board exams, I joined up a chartered accounting firm who was also actually doing Xeroxing business, which was called copy, making Xerox copies because he was supplementing those days. And he was also a practicing chartered accountant. So I joined him as an intern, assistant or clerk, whatever you call it, because I had to spend my 3 months of holidays till I found my bearings. And I used to go all the way from Mulund to Fountain and work. But that's where I learned that I had my abilities of being able to speak well or manage people well, etc. And he actually, apart from giving me some kind of audit work, also made me had a problem of saying that I've set up this copying center because at those days investing in a huge Xerox machine was expensive. It was capex, and since he was running a firm by his side, he didn't know how to get more people to use his machine, and because those days he used to charge like 1 rupee, 2 rupees per copy. Plus, then subsequently Xeroxing came down. Now nobody has Xeroxing. It's like now cameras are no more in fashion because you've got digital cameras on mobile phones. So those days of I told him, why don't you market yourself? He says, why don't you do some marketing to tell people that I have also do Xerox? So I used to see, he said, since you speak pretty well, those days, why would somebody go and say, "Arey, mere se copy kara lo." So I said, "ठीक है." If I used to go to that advertisement firm called Hindustan Thompson Associates, whenever I had 2-3 hours of free time, and say that you guys have any copies to do? Instant Xerox copying machine is available. So then I used to come and give it to him and say, these guys want to do 100 pages. But the learning was when I used to meet all these advertisement professionals, chartered accounting professionals or offices, a lot of people used to like me and ask me as to why. And then I realized that it was important for me to pick up one string of my journey to move up. And being multi-skilled is something which is very essential, apart from having a couple of domain expertise that you develop. Why I'm saying all this is because that's when my whole journey of getting into corporate. Then I did my post-graduation in commerce. I was actually joined an engineering college because my dream was to become an engineer. Unfortunately, I couldn't complete because I met with a small accident, and then my father thought I'll be better off doing CA or ICMA in London or some stuff like that. So in between, I moved from engineering to commerce and then joined BCom midway. Then I realized that it's not about what you study, it's also about how you think and work.
Right.
So because I had spent a little bit of time in the engineering school and college midterm and then moved to commerce, I had a very scientific way of thinking. So basically I was very good at maths and physics. So commerce came to me. I was not so interested in commerce and really becoming a chartered or management accountant. But then it happened that I had to pursue something. So pursued that, and then but I had this ability of managing both my work and my study. So I started working, doing part-time jobs. I actually got a full-time job as a sales rep in those days, Shriram refrigeration. I used to sell water coolers even in winter. So I did. So it's all about how you position the product and how you position the need for the product in a customer. So you learn some amount of skills in PR, you learned some amount of skills in positioning the product, and then you started putting that to use while you were also educating yourself to be academically qualified. But then you suddenly realize that whatever you come out as an engineer, but you end up doing a lot of different things. I see a lot of engineering, good smart engineering guys pick up their MBA degrees and finally end up doing stock market trading.
Yeah.
Chartered accountant who was supposed to run finances to stock market like you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is all about, so there is a core, but if you build that core, a lot of people now work and then study it before they now, I believe a lot of engineering guys finish engineering, work for 2 years and then do their MBA.
Right.
I think that's a great way of putting what you have seen on the ground and then going back to the academic school and then learning few things back and retrofit into your career as you move forward. I think practically I did that while these jargons are quite common now. Those days I learned through experience. And I always figured out over time my journey from Coca-Cola, or before that from Unilever, or before that with Asian Paints. I worked in a plant, I worked in commercial, I implemented ISO 9000. I left, so that kept moving towards different parts or different segments of industry. And it also taught me a lot as I moved along. I think my key strength was I was very happy to learn new things, happy to spend a lot of time, and maybe my impatience also was in virtue because it helped me to learn fast and move along. And I also, because of my earlier experience at Engage, learned how to manage the corporate environment. Or, for example, I worked in a factory, the factory environment, but then there's a lot of demands on you at different points in time. And I was more of a balance between a theory X and a theory Y. As I grew up as a manager, I realized that I was equal focus on task and equal focus on people. So I think that helped me to move along the corporate ladder. Then I got a big break with Unilever post my Asian Paint days. That was in Asian Paints. I worked on a new plant, setting it up in Ankleshwar, then getting an ISO 9000 certification. So that every company and every job was a great learning by itself. Then Unilever, and from Unilever I moved to Coke Direct. So I was the guy who moved pretty fast. Every 3 years I used to move companies and grades. And then I became chief financial officer in Coca-Cola India. I've accumulated 30, 40 units and put it under the. We were at that time trying to move from FOBO to COBO, franchise operated bottling system, to company owned. I think now they're all doing the other way. So I think it's all a cycle of. So this I'm talking about 20 years back. So I think everything gave a new flavor to the way you lead life, you work, and you learn.
Right.
So I think that was fun. And if you have, like in Coca-Cola, my famous liners were work hard and party hard.
Right.
So because timelines were crunched, people used to work. I used to have a team of across India. Even if I put minimum of 100 people team in finance, and commercial, and operations. So it was good fun buying plants from bottlers, valuations, M&A. So I enjoyed everything that I did, and I think that was the key to also enjoying the job and work, and also being able to manage the people that you hired along with you as you go. So that was an interesting path. So I don't have anything, no regrets. I'm grateful to God to have given me an opportunity to work in all these fantastic organizations, and more importantly, contribute in all of them, and more importantly, we come out successfully out of them. And lastly, latest was when I was with Future Capital, which I took as to public platform, which is now the IDFC First Bank. That was the move into the financial world, because we did private equity, then we raised money, then we did corporate banking, we did corporate finance, lending, retail platform, all sorts of things in financial services. Then that made you realize and aware of how you understood financial risk, counterparty risk. So that's again a fantastic journey of 5-7 years in the financial services world. And then post that I moved to real estate. Then I was part of some real estate and hotel group and created some things. And that led me to believe that, my mind, whether I was working in an FMCG or in a financial services company or a real estate company, I like the design-led thinking process. And I think in whatever I do, and that also helps you to shape your strategy as you go. So that was fun. I think I've been, unless I've been monotonous, you have something more to add or
No,
ask
this
me.
is quite interesting to know. And since you were doing so well in your professional life, what inspired you to start Pegasus FinInvest, your own venture capital firm?
Well, I was doing so much of M&A and large deals, and I realized post my private equity and investment practice that I led in Everstone, which is now Everstone, that at time it was Future Capital and then different funds. A lot of people said, Shridhar, you do a lot of mega deals, and I used to mentor a lot of companies in tech. So it became, and I used to put some small mentor capital into startups. So how much money can you put from your own personal balance sheet? So then I said, let me institutionalize it. And I was more interested in doing impact fund. And so that led me to move away from the mainstream private equity and commercial funding to start an impact fund. But impact fund also has to be commercially successful for it to be deliver impact. So with that in mind, I started a Cat 2 AIF fund, and essentially to create an impact ecosystem and to be able to put larger checks. So then I became the sponsor and the fund manager for it. And one of the reasons was to also create a very good ecosystem of people as well as companies, and bet on people who are passionately involved in what they are doing in these areas of financial, fintech, edutech, and healthcare and clean energy. So
Right.
that was my motivation to start. And I also believe that impact fund need not be, my philosophy was very different. The fund philosophies are three. One is invest without greed and fear. Second is anything given free is not valued. Third is sustainable and operationally cash flow businesses.
Okay.
So the first one I'll explain to you, invest without fear and greed, is because with all facts on the table, I figured out all private equity, everyone is after returns. So it's about shortchanging either an investee or shortchanging an investor, because both ways you're collecting money and saying I'll deploy. When you're collecting, you say I'll make so and so IRR. While
Right.
deploying, you say I want better value.
Right.
So I wanted to say that everything is on the table. Let's be fair. There are risks,
Right.
but those risks are available in the marketplace for everybody. So that was the philosophy with which I started the fund, and mainly into asset light, technology driven startups in these four domains that I spoke about.
Very interesting to know, sir. Say if a new person would want to start his or own venture capital firm, how should he or she go about it?
Venture capital firm, first, see, the ecosystem has grown tremendously. And if you look at India itself, we're talking about, except for last year, but then now we're talking in billions of money getting into startups and the ecosystem. The VC it's like an industry by itself,
Right.
venture capital. So one has to be able to get in first by understanding the ability to raise capital. Then there is initially so I would recommend people to start working in some venture capital firms to learn the ropes. And then there are regulations that you need to follow. But more importantly, your ability to be able to be a strategic thinker and generalist in picking up the space in which you want to invest in and getting trained over it. And then at some point in time, if you want to become a venture capitalist, then you need to find the investors. So investors will back you provided you have your reputation or your work. I mean, if you're a green horn, you can do a startup.
Right.
But you can't be a venture capitalist because then you'll have to raise money.
Right. That's good to know, sir. I would also like to ask you, what's the best leadership advice you have received so far, and how have you applied in your existing two ventures?
Not taking any risk is the biggest risk in life.
Interesting. Okay.
And change is constant.
Change is constant, right?
And more so now with AI, digital, etc. I used to always believe in that because I have pivoted towards different marketplace, different environments over years. But I think change is constant. We evolve. Now I'm working with an IITian or IIM who doesn't want to go and join a company. He's starting his own company. He comes to me with this pitch.
Right.
So I'm very happy. I'm actually 20 years back because I'm pushing my age down every year because I'm learning new technologies.
Right.
I'm understanding better things about water, air. So that's one of the motivation for getting engaged with ESG and climate and how we can all contribute. And I think the new era of digital transformation and the new era of automation, the new era of high-speed chips, everything is changing the way we used to live and the way we used to behave.
Right.
Right. So the moment you change the way you used to live in terms of and think and live and eat, your needs and marketplace also undergoes a shift.
Right.
Right. Now, how many people make food at home? People order more. Right.
Yeah.
How many people thought about Uber because Uber has now become a pass.
Yeah.
But Uber is like taxi coming down to your doorstep.
Yeah.
So you apply that to ambulances. So there are so brilliant ideas. It's just about the old adage that we don't even use 1% of less than 1% of our brain. So there's so much of it. So people have now got these enormous ideas, and when they put it in action and create enterprise, it's really you also get to learn. There's a rub-off effect. So I think that's how it works.
Since you mentioned about risk, I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest risk you have taken which has shaped your journey?
With every job change, I has to take a risk, and I used to only go to a higher position, higher levels, and then with higher levels, people love the position, etc. But in my mind, with every senior leadership job, like they say, the head that wears the crown bears the burden.
Right.
So I used to feel that the risk was inherent in it. Either you deliver or you perish. Those days we didn't have this concept like you guys have, like balance in life. Enjoy, work less, money is enough. We were just progressing. It was never acceptable. A full job done well was job well done. And then you look for newer pastures of work. And those days we didn't mind hours spending. I mean, those days if today you had to figure out something, you go to Google search, and now more important, you go to Meta and do AI or go to a prompt engineering dot and ask the question. You don't have to exercise your brain.
Right.
Those days we used to make ourselves think, and we used to think that we were intelligent and thinking about options, which now looks so easy. So at least we used to exercise our mind and create optionalities. So I think so. When you took those jumps and when you thought that you will deliver, those were a risk by itself.
Right.
And the more higher you go, the more risks, especially in the Indian environment, especially in the infrastructure real estate environment, given the ability to implement, raise money and implement, execute, design, it's a challenge.
Very nice to know, sir. What do you think are the various exciting opportunities ahead in the industrial and the logistics real estate space?
I think warehousing and industrial and logistics has emerged as a very big asset class in the last few years, and I think it's going to grow. It's a very low hanging fruit because India, compared to other countries, India's logistics cost which is a $200 billion market, 200 to $80 billion market. I don't have the exact stats, but I think it's around close to $280 billion market. Uh, you are close to 12-13% of GDP as a cost, whereas advanced and matured countries have a percentage of 8 to 9%. So I think India has to move to the single digits. So that offers a huge opportunity for the industrial logistics sector in across transportation, across warehousing and industrial build to suit opportunities. And India is also emerging as a very big hub for come in manufacturing hub and then being able to export outside. So it's a big supply chain opportunity. And given the India's inherent cost of labor and English speaking population and engineering population being very high, that presents a huge opportunity for people to come and put their manufacturing hub out here. Even though they may manufacture here, they may sell 100. I built a factory for someone who manufactures here and exports 100%.
Right.
Foreign company. So in renewable energy. So I think that's going to happen. Number one. Number two, also given the fact that there will be a lot of ESG compliance, so people are going in from older methods of manufacture or older buildings of factories and warehouses to better grade A warehousing specs, which is compliant fully with fire, safety, environment norms. So I think that is also going to push people to move towards this. Again, that is an opportunity. A lot of people will move from grade C and grade B, and they're compelled to move to grade A, build to suit warehouses and manufacturing locations. I think that provides a vast opportunity for the sector to grow. But will it be a multi-bagger? I think it's a decent number of 18 to 20% IRR business.
Okay, and I recently read that Hiranandani Group has collaborated with the notable Blackstone. So, do you want to comment on the strategic importance of it?
Yeah, Blackstone is by far the largest investor in the globe. I mean, likes of Blackstone, Brookfield, CPPI, the pension funds, etc. Blackstone is at the forefront because they have been doing great things in the Indian context and the Asia context. So we are very happy that we partnered with Blackstone in this segment. And Blackstone brings in a lot of their own advantages and skills and balances to this ecosystem. And we also are able to, as a developer, bring some skill sets, both in terms of development, leverage, the quality, the ability to be able to build fast. So I think it's a win-win situation, and it's a big milestone, and we are one of the key partners, developing partners for Blackstone in this space, and we're very happy that our journey so far has been very good, and they're very good to partner with as a fund too.
That's very nice to know, sir. I would now like to ask you one question which is nowadays trending on social media. What should a person do? Should a person buy a house or should a person rent a house?
I would say I had the old saying. I used to keep saying this to everybody, even though I build homes and sell. I think I used to say, "Fools build homes, wise men live in it."
Wow.
Fools buy homes, and wise men live in it. So the wise man is the guy who rents it.
Right.
Because fundamentally, given your GDP and your interest rate as India, when rental expenses, the yield is only around 3%.
Right.
Whereas if you buy a home, the rate of interest is close to, on a home loan itself, around close to 10%,
Right.
9%.
Right. That's nice to know, sir. So moving towards your venture capital firm, sir, what is your investment philosophy in Pegasus FinInvest? What do you look for in a company or in an entrepreneur before investing? And what is more important, the entrepreneur or the business model which you invest in?
See, the most important thing that we look for before we invest in, and especially given that we are an impact fund, I look at the passion of the founder and the entrepreneur, and more importantly, where has he reached in terms of milestone. So he should be somewhere where it's not should be at a concept level, because now you can get up in the morning and have a concept, right? It's about actualizing the concept. So the POC should have got done, and the guy should be in revenues. And more importantly, he should, not that everyone gets it right at the first time. His ability to stay focused and stay passionate about the business till the end is something that we look for. So we also do a lot of, we are a venture capital firm, but we invest with a private equity mindset. It's a very contradictory statement, but I think we do risk assessment from the point of view of the traditional way, going out, spending time with the entrepreneur. So we take around 3 to 4 5 months before we invest in a startup, and that's too long from a VC perspective. Am I right? So for me, entrepreneur and promoter of the firm, his passion, his ability, his skill set, etc. matters. Then the stage at which the business is, it should be across POC and revenue generating. And the third is, how has he outlined the market potential for himself in the large space, in the space that he is in.
Right.
And fourth, obviously, it should get linked to my impact theme, and it has to be in these 4 segments.
Right. Is there any specific things which an entrepreneur should avoid before pitching to a VC?
Yeah, I really used to get very irritated with tech entrepreneurs coming in saying, I've developed it was actually web commerce, e-commerce, developing some platform and saying I'm burning X amount of rupees, but their mindset was, if I go to raise money, my starting valuation was 10 million. I'm burning cash, I got $10 million valuation, you want to take it. Now, the days of spray and pray is gone. I think even venture capital firm today look at an entrepreneur who is more solid, has got a decent product or a service or a SaaS idea, or has the ability and has built a team and has the ability or a tech or a platform to be able to deliver it. And people can see that that service, product or SaaS as they have built is they got the ability to be monetized.
Right.
Whether it is the area of fintech, clean tech, or healthcare. And more importantly, the ability of the outreach that the product or the service has across the market segment. If you put all of this together and then you look at the whole business and the entrepreneur, then you start building a thesis around it. And we have our normal ways of doing due diligence, financial, legal, all of that. But this is more of, I'm telling from a business point of view, how I look at things before investing. And an entrepreneur should take care that these 3-4 things that I've said is very clear in his mind. He may be financially not very good financially in terms of finance or numbers, but that doesn't matter. He can have someone do those numbers. Is he very good in creating the product and understanding the ability to be able to monetize or the market potential of it? A lot of technocrats I have seen, they create great products, but they're not successful because they're not able to monetize the technology.
Right.
So that is also a large part of commercial sense that a person should have to be able to make his business successful.
Right. And say a new investor wants to invest through a VC, what can the average expected returns be
I
invest through a
think
VC?
people come into the VC space thinking that they will double, triple, 10 times, 5x, 6x. I think it's only reasonable in this current environment, unless you get a couple of unicorns in your bucket. You never know. But I think, 3x, 3 to 4x is something which people should.
In what time horizon would you say that?
So typically, funds are within the range of 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Because entry, exit will take that much of time. So like our fund is 7 years plus extension of 1+1. So we are expecting in 7. But what I'm talking about is an average IRR of 25 to 30%.
And what is the average investment usually an investor puts through a VC? Is there a specific number like that?
Typically, SEBI prescribes 1 crore for Cat 1 and for Cat 1 it's much lesser. For Cat 2 investor it's 1 crore. Minimum amount that you have to put in to become a limited partner. But that 1 crore can get called over the commitment period by different capital calls. So typically over 3 years and etc.
Okay. So moving towards your personal investments, I wanted to ask you, how have you split across various asset classes in percentage terms, your investments?
As a sponsor of this impact fund, actually I put a decent amount of money into my own fund because people also look at whether the skin lies. So skin in the game kind of concept. So apart from my personal fund, I think I've got very a balanced approach towards public equities, real estate, and performing credit fund.
So can we say 70-10% in balance 3? 70% in the main fund and 10% in real estate, credit funds and public markets?
No, I mean, it's not like they say 25% in my fund, 25% in real estate, 25% in public market, but 25% in debt.
Okay. And what is the highest ROI in percentage terms which you have generated?
In public markets?
Across all your investments?
Across all, maybe 16 to 17%, 18%.
Okay.
CAGR annualized.
Right. And so having achieved so much so far, what is financial freedom as per you?
I think financial freedom is never a freedom. It is always a responsibility. That's what I think. People like to say financial freedom is having a lot of money to spend. So I believe freedom is a good word. There is nothing called financial freedom or psychological freedom or something like that. It's about how free your mind is. And also, I also believe that people have to also tend to think. Because today I think there's a concept of this is good enough for me. I'm happy to live within this means. So then financial freedom comes. I want to earn every year 1 crore of rupees and that takes care of all of my needs and I'm satisfied. Today you will find a lot of people falling into the category of saying I have a balance. Having more money, having more things to do doesn't interest people. I think people want to balance. People like us, you spend most of the time at work. So that's the question of so the financial freedom is already there, but what do you do with that? So that's why I think it's more responsibility. Financial freedom, even a small kid when it's born, it has. As it grows up, it only creates a financial burden. And the more bigger it gets, it takes more responsibility, gets married, creates more responsibility. So there's never freedom. And greed creates that you want more money, so you work up more hard, so you need more money. So financially, you can never be free till such time you say, I am happy and I'm content. I mean, this is a philosophical thing because I believe there has to be a balance in the way you think through. Money it's not that money is the end of everything. Money meets most of your material needs. It makes you more comfortable, moves you from necessary to comfort to luxury category, as per Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
But then anything of too much of anything is again too bad. Because after you have too much of money, then you think you lose the importance of it. It may come as a very big surprise because when I run venture capital, when I run infrastructure company, it's more important to be balanced.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. So, you have such a busy schedule. How do you balance your time? Because I'm sure you'll have to, spend time in your real estate business as well as in your
I
venture
spend
capital.
most of my time with my infrastructure and RE business, which is the industrial logistics and with Blackstone, and then the real estate business of Hiranandani. Apart from that, I do spend time on the venture capital business because I'm a board member and I'm also an investment committee approving it. I have got a separate team which takes care of the investment venture capital business of because it's more like a fund and investing team, and I end up spending most of my weekends and maybe a couple of hours every day in the morning or the night taking IC calls of them traveling out once in a while to meet the portfolio companies and promoters. So I divide my time. Yes, you're right. I normally work at 10 to 12 hours work day across. Okay. That's why I can do justice to each of the job that I do.
Okay, that's very inspiring, sir. Even at your age, you are doing so much. And I also wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and leaders? How should they approach strategic thinking?
You have to develop a sense for the strategic thinking. Once you have that ability to do that, then you can hone your skills to. So essentially, you have to be curious, and you have to also try to understand that I want to know about. See, it's a difference between a lazy mind and a mind which is curious. So if you're curious, automatically you will learn, and then it's like playing chess, right? So it's all about developing an interest and going through the whole thing again and again, and then obviously it's also a little bit of intuitive ability to see outcomes. Strategy is what? It's finite to the extent that you think because of certain data points that you have today, you predict an outcome. But there is no single outcome. Strategy is about predicting outcome 1, outcome 2, alternate A, alternate B, and then the associated risks with it. So all of this requires an ability to understand data, past, present, and maybe do probabilistic model to understand how this will frame out. It's like somebody saying the share price will go from year to year.
Right.
He's taken a set of data of the past,
right,
and
put in probabilities,
exponential probability theory and statistical models he has built, and he says it could reach so and so.
Right.
But what he has not taken into account is there are a lot of things that are in between.
Right.
Like I say, hindsight is an exact science.
Nice line.
If somebody understands hindsight is an exact science,
yeah.
Strategy is something like that. Strategy is 90% of ability for you to be able to see through things given your past experience and put the data together. So I would always I think equal importance to past data, historical data, understand the current data, current trends. On top of that, apply your basic experience in life. I'm very happy that I started this venture capital fund. It was more like a passion. It's a small fund. I did it for impact and to help entrepreneurs. And in the process, I've learned so many things which keep me active. The night I get up and read some new technology, and then see how I can apply it to my infrastructure business, right?
Right.
Or I learn something from my infrastructure business, and then I'm able to share my experience with one of my startup founders and say, why don't you look at it like this? The new digital transformation. I was one of those guys who never believed that I could click and buy. In the last, I mean, I started 10 years back or something, 5-7 years. Pre-COVID, I was, so maybe 2000, last 5-7 years, I mean, tremendous. And I was talking about quick commerce. I mean, that's there to stay. India is the only place in the world which delivers in 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Which other country you could get delivery
So
in
much
10 minutes? No
convenience,
other
right?
place.
Yeah.
Whether it's food or whether it's your groceries.
Yeah.
Even your phone. Now Myntra and Flipkart are talking about 30 minutes. Right?
True, yeah.
So I think everything is evolving, and India is an emerging country. India is today a $3.2 trillion economy. I think it will be soon a $5 trillion economy in a couple of years. Give it 2 to 3 years, and that would really set the pace for all of these developments. And each one of us have to really look at it. Now, somebody can sit here and do strategy saying, no, I don't believe India can become a $5 trillion economy in 3 years, because if you take compounded average growth rate of 8 to 10% of GDP growth, even if you extrapolate at 10%, we will only receive.
Right.
I was listening to this lecture of economist, now he's part of the World Bank, and he was saying that by 2035, we will be a $20 trillion, more than $21 trillion economy, which was a little bit difficult to believe. Then he did the maths, saying if you compound, if you're going at 12%, and if you're compounding every
year,
6 or every 3 to 4 years or 5 years, you double.
Right. Yeah. It's true.
Every 5 years, you double. So 3 becomes 6 in 2030.
Yeah.
6 becomes
12.
In 2035.
Yeah.
And, so he said he can easily be a $20 trillion economy in the next 20 years or something. But well, again, strategy is about saying what all will happen from now till the next 10 years. Who knows? Either Nostradamus' prediction comes true, or tsunami hits you, or one more COVID takes place.
Right.
Then instead of extrapolating, doubling, we come down to half.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's the nature's conspiracy theory. So strategy should also leave some space for the unknown.
Wow, very nice. So what has been your biggest achievement so far, which has brought you the greatest sense of satisfaction?
I don't know. I think everything I do is part of my karmic behavior, or the way I'm built, or the way my DNA is. And I'm happy if I've been able to take up any assignment or job or work, and I do it well. So that way, that gives me a sense of achievement. I think my growth in the corporate world has been decent. I could have done better. So there will always be there's always comparisons. My sense of achievement is I've grown into an individual who is able to now look at everything dispassionately. I've been able to reduce my stress over time in the last 10-15 years. I can take on responsibility and accountability without now getting stressed. And I've learned from my mistakes. So achievement is a sense of, it's a feeling. So you close a deal, you feel very happy. You raised the money in the fund, you feel very happy. You have done a massive deal yourself, sold a stake, you feel happy. He said, does it mean anything? Yeah, it means that you have done your job well. So that's remarkable. That gives you a sense of good feeling. But I would be happy if I learn to, nowadays there's a new thing, he's the enlightened one. I'm trying to figure out, I'm still human. I'm not able to become the enlightened one. I think for that I need to become more detached and more spiritual. But I do believe in the nature's conspiracy theory and spirituality. And then let's see how. So I am now. That's something which helps you also, while it also keeps you more grounded. It also helps you to think. I believe manasa, vacha, and karmana. What you say and what you speak and what you think. If all of them are in sync, you are happy. To achieve that is an achievement.
Wow, very nice line.
And rest all is material achievement. You do very well in your career. I have been doing well, whether it was in Coca-Cola, Unilever, Britannia, Future Capital, Blackstone, picking it up, investing, operating roles, real estate. I'm fortunate. I think God has been kind. He has given me opportunities to work in so many sectors with so many promoters, so many funds. At the end of the day, you only want to come out with a good name. I think money can be less by 20%, 30%, but at the end of the day, you would like to come out saying that you achieved what you set out to do, and that gives you immense satisfaction.
And having such a broad range of work, do you want to leave any legacy behind through your work?
I think, let me share with you something that I think I continue to do. I've been doing this for the last many years now. From the time I was teaching in IC5, IMD Ghaziabad, and other places, I felt that whenever I work and go to new place, I hire a bunch of new talent. I train them. It's part of my corporate CSR to culturally blend with the new age people, because and build a culture of more a balanced sense of responsibility and accountability, working with me without bias, and and that could be my contribution, because as they say, giving money, if you feed an hungry man, you can feed him for one time, but if you teach him fishing, he can eat for his life. So I believe the best way of being donating, like I do run for with girls education in my marathon or whatever, apart from all of that, the best thing is to, whatever you know and whatever knowledge you can share, you should share with people all around you, and culturally see how much can you impact them. Because I think uh, being a that we have entered into, say, 25,000 years of the initial Kali Yuga, and and as you keep imparting whatever good things that you have learned over time, somebody was kind enough to teach us. The new generation, when it comes all over you now, one of the reasons I said I work in venture capitalists to engage myself with all new entrepreneurs and new technology. It also helps them to get to know me better, interact with me. Uh, I don't mind. I don't stand on high pedestal. I just walk with them, eat with them. But then a lot of things rub on them,
Right.
and I'm also able to say that, okay, I feel happy that I have given away something.
Right.
And not that everybody would like to learn from you. Someone would learn and say throw it away because he's too old fashioned, and I can't work so hard. That's fine. Somebody learns and keeps it for life. Similarly, I learned something. If I today, um, you can't be standing down on people and telling them do this. I have to be his friend and say, okay, why can't we try this out? This technology will work on this or not. So I think that way you are able to get people's attention, and then able to either you imbibe good things from them or they imbibe good things from you.
Right.
And that's a great contribution to make. I think that's one big thing. And my other vision would be that I create a huge ecosystem of unbiased impact investing team, which can take on this journey ahead, especially in environment, which is, I call it as climate action, ESG goals. I mean, ESG is a very abused word, but I would love people to love their planet Earth more, and do something more for it. And different people do based on their abilities and their skills and specialities. I would like to leave an impact ecosystem of trained managers who can take the legacy forward.
Right. I'm sure you have mentored a lot of people in your career so far. Do you give any common advice to them all?
I tell them that look here, I do meet different kinds of people. Some of them give advice to me too. It doesn't matter, even if they are my mentees. Sometimes you'll work. But more importantly, what I tell them is get into details, focus, passion. I believe intelligence is an overrated attribute of an individual. The most highly rated attribute for an individual should be hard work.
Oh.
I'll give you an example. A CA who has passed in his first attempt and a CA who has passed after giving 5 attempts, my view is the CA with 5 attempts would have read the same textbook, the same theory, the same thing 5 times.
Right.
Into 3 months. So his amount of hard work, right, and not giving up shows determination. Right. And probably he will do the job much better.
Wow. Right.
I'm saying this from my example because I used to be studying very less for my final exam right from the school days. I never aspired for first rank. I used to always come in the top five, first to the fifth rank, or grades as they call it, in my 8, 9. In 10th, I was happy with my 75 or 80%. Those days, which is equal. Nowadays, people are 90 plus is a norm, right? So those days, 80 and above, you were excellent.
Right.
I used to be less than 80, but I never used to feel bad. Okay. And in 12th, I used to get 150 out of 150 in, say, physics or mathematics in the board exams. I used to be happy, but other subjects, I used to be 60, 70, 50, doesn't matter. But I used to not study much because I thought I had a decent memory. I had probably, and I used to study in the last 10, 15 days. But later on in life, when I see people who study more and recite and do, it's a feeling that comes to you by trait that, the more people work hard, because people sometimes say he's working hard, but he's dumb. I would think he is working hard. He may be dumb today, but he'll definitely become successful after the third or fourth time you see him doing it.
Wow.
So repetition doesn't make you slower or doesn't make you dumb. Repetition only makes you perfect. Right? A carpenter who sharpens his tools and then cuts it well. A carpenter who thinks he's smart, will try to put the tool down there, and you'll find the tool is not working. Correct?
Right.
A carpenter who can't do a good job blames his tools. That's the other problem. So if you put all of this together, I personally feel people who have studied well and maybe they are intelligent, they are more clever, I would say, not intelligent. They have a decent memory, so they do better than others during their academic life. But suppose a guy who's very intelligent is lazy.
Right.
He's bound to be less successful than a guy who's less intelligent but more hardworking.
Right.
That's my view. And if you decide to get something, there will be tough situations. Maybe you'll endowed with less intellect, less memory, but God has compensated it with some other trait that you have got. Use that trait, but be at it. You'll be successful. Which means, again, go back to the concept of hard work.
Right.
So I used to put intelligence on top. Now I put hardworking on top, intelligence second. When I have to tick on a candidate.
Right. There is a famous line, right? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Correct.
Right. That's a very, yeah.
Hard work can create talent in you.
Yeah.
But talent cannot create hard work.
That's true. And sir, I'm sure you must have had a lot of ups and downs in your life. What advice would you give to stay resilient during such times?
Yeah, I had tough times. External agencies, whatever. I mean, you are in a space where people look at you. I think my strong belief in that what you're doing is right, and probably whatever decisions you have taken is with whatever knowledge you had at that point in time, and you try to do the best, gives me a feeling of confidence. And I also believe that there is always somebody looking after you.
Right.
I mean, I'm very fortunate. I mean, right from when I had an angioplasty at 12 years back, when I was around 45, and I had to run from my building in the night. So I was working on the day. In the 12 days, I had gone to Ahobilam, come back. But then I couldn't drive a car in the night of 3 o'clock. I took a Rick and went. After going through three ECGs during the day, and they did my angioplasty in the morning at 5:30 when I went at 3:30. And a lot of people tell me it's just but karma. So a lot of people go in Mercedes Benz to preach candy and they still die. That's what Narayan told me. I thought, hey, the doctor gave me the last time I went was night 10 o'clock, and I went back home and he gave me antacid saying this could be acidity because you seem to be speaking pretty well. But I could sense that the whole day because there is something which is wrong. It just exploded in the night. And I knew I was right. So I ran, tried to drive the car with my heart attack, but I couldn't. So I just dropped it there and took a Rick and went to the hospital. And I had 100% block. So I got saved. Whereas I would have come tough 12 years back at 45. Like a lot of people happen today, uncertainty. So maybe that's bad lifestyle. I was traveling abroad and go, my eating habits, all that is fine. But I'm saying it's a cycle. So so then you become more conscious about your health. So good that happened. I became more conscious of what I eat. Now I run half a marathons whenever possible. At least I've done 4 till now. I don't know this time whether I'll be able to do it or not, but I'll still manage. So then working with young startups. So it's all about also you have got so many things from your life's last 30, 40 years. So you think now it's also while working, it's better to give back. So the people like you, Priya, a lot of people whom I meet or try to do something. It's all part of my theory that more people I meet, more things that I give away in terms of what can you give away at best. You just give away whatever you have, learnings, and my learnings and my experience, and then if it helps you, great, take it up and run. If it doesn't help you, just shove it away. Doesn't matter. But I think these are all the thoughts that come to me on the question that you asked. I don't know whether I answered it well or not. But
No, definitely, sir, that's your own take. And lastly, I would also want to ask you, how do you like to sum up your entrepreneurship journey to our viewers?
sum up my entrepreneurship journey. Dream, dream big, and don't stay defocused like me, but focus on it and continue with it. You will achieve success. And accept in your mind that while you dream big and run after it, lot of the dream didn't have a lot of failures which will come in between, but you have to sidestep them and still move on, or accept them and still move on till you achieve your goal. And be rest assured that after you finish one goal, you'll start dreaming about the next goal. So at some point of time, take a pause and then lead a much more purposeful life and define your purpose after you achieve success.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your wise words. We are extremely grateful that you were our first guest for this podcast. Extremely good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Strategic Pulse. Hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you would like us to cover any specific topic or question, we would love to hear from you. Don't forget to follow all our social media channels. Thank you.